Imagine, it is the middle of summer in Brussels. Outside, Europe is baking under one of its most intense and deadly heat waves. Inside the European Commission's headquarters, the air conditioning on the lower floors is shut off entirely due to carbon reduction mandates. But if you take the elevator upstairs to the top floor, where Europe's most powerful political elites write the rules, you will find that the cool air is flowing perfectly, completely shielding top executives from the sweltering heat below. While lower-level staffers sweat under strict mandates, the elites continue working in pristine, well-ventilated, and air-conditioned luxury comfort upstairs. This single building serves as the perfect symbol for modern macroeconomic policy across the entire European continent today. Everyday citizens are constantly instructed to cope with less comfort, higher living costs, and ever-increasing government restrictions daily. Meanwhile, the very bureaucrats writing these restrictive rules are completely insulated and protected from the economic consequences themselves. EU regulations. In this video, we will look closely at the financial and structural crisis currently facing the European continent. It is an alarming story of how terrible economic policies are making everyday life much more expensive for families. We will discover how Europe's massive regulatory framework strangulates building progress, blocking necessary industrial and infrastructure growth. Their default response to economic decline is not to build faster or innovate, but simply to regulate even harder. To understand how Europe arrived here, we must examine how modern governments handle basic public problems like extreme weather. By 2019, only about 20% of all European households actually had any form of air conditioning installed. When consecutive deadly summer heat waves arrived, the continent was structurally and financially under-equipped to protect its citizens. But instead of clearing red tape to help business owners and citizens rapidly install cooling infrastructure, governments did what they do best. They passed micro-regulations. Spain banned public and commercial buildings from setting air conditioning below 27 degrees Celsius. 27 degrees Celsius? That limit is about 80 degrees Fahrenheit, forcing workers and shoppers to sweat inside shops during intense summer heat. Meanwhile, France ordered air-conditioned shops to keep their doors shut at all times or face heavy financial fines. Rather than solving the supply-side issue of energy capacity to power ACs, the government focused mainly on policing open doors. This shows a crucial flaw in European economics, treating physical scarcity as an administrative issue to be politically managed. If there isn't enough energy, they don't produce more electricity. They simply use heavy regulations to force demand down. Demand European policy experts now admit that the continent has a massive, deep-seated competitiveness problem compared to other regions. But in diplomatic language, a competitiveness gap is simply polite code for saying our economic model is completely broken. The massive regulatory machinery has completely outpaced actual productivity, leaving businesses stranded and unable to catch up globally. Regulations. When Europe runs into economic friction, the primary political instinct is never based around innovation or building things faster. Instead, the European Union tries to regulate faster, cap harder, and draft another massive, endless alphabet soup of directives. They generate compliance targets, frameworks, and ultra-complex paperwork that small businesses struggle endlessly to understand or fulfill daily. This regulatory bloat creates a severe bottleneck, stopping real-world construction projects like housing, energy grids, and modern factories. Rules. Consider Germany's recent self-inflicted energy crisis, where they systematically shut down their last remaining active nuclear power plants.
They destroyed clean, reliable baseline energy sources with absolutely no immediate, realistic planning for domestic replacement options. To fill the massive baseline power gap, German planners turned heavily to importing cheap Russian natural gas instead. Gas. They completely ignored the extreme geopolitical risk of depending so heavily on a single, potentially hostile foreign energy provider. When geopolitical realities caught up, Germany had to scramble, spending hundreds of billions of euros to replace those imports. While they managed to survive the immediate winters, the deep structural damage to German industrial manufacturing was already completed.
This brings us to a fundamental economics law. If you want more energy and industry, you must make building easier. You cannot regulate your way into technological dominance or economic prosperity by simply drafting more restrictive rules every year. Instead of asking how to build abundance, European elites continually focus on how they can manage and ration scarcity. When policymakers pass rules making energy artificially scarce, those rising costs flow directly down to everyday working taxpayers. If Europe wants to reclaim economic growth, it must restore a clear focus on actual physical productivity and abundance.